Welcome to Physician Heal Thyself, the podcast, empowering you to take a whole person approach to your well-being, spirit, soul, and body. Join me, your host, Dr. Ana Lara, naturopathic doctor, entrepreneur, and a servant of Jesus Christ. We are not just a body, we are spirit and soul. It's time to integrate medicine and spirituality into our healing. Let's get started. Welcome back to Physician Heal Thyself, the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ana Lara. Today, we are going to talk about ways to strengthen your immune system in a natural way. So we know that as we get into cold and flu season, many people worry and panic about their immune system. And so I just want to talk about some natural ways that you can take these steps to improve your immune system, not just when it's cold and flu season, but really year time, the whole year, right? So first, I want to talk about, the immune system. So the immune system is actually, what it actually does, it has a natural defense system. And if we give the body what it needs, this natural defense system will do what it needs to do. So there's two terms that we should know when it comes to the immune system. There's an innate and an adaptive immune system. And so innate means it's always working, right? Adaptive, it's going to adapt the immune system according to the environment and what's it's being presented with. So in order to have a strong immune system, we have to take into account gut health. If our digestive system is off, if we're constantly under a lot of stress, if we're not sleeping enough, and other lifestyle factors like diet, right, nutrition are not on point, it is going to affect the way our immune system functions. So we're going to talk, the first segment I want to talk about is nutrition. And so some of the key things that you can do diet-wise to help is make sure that you're having foods with vitamin C. Yes, you can supplement as well, but if you get these foods, if you get vitamin C from food, it's much better. So foods that are like citrus, right? Bell peppers, broccoli have good amounts of vitamin C. But if you wanted to supplement with vitamin C, you can do so. Now, because everyone's health situation is a little bit different, dosing can vary, right? So I'm not giving any health suggestions or recommendations. This is just for educational purposes. But you really want to look at foods. If you want to supplement, 1,000 milligrams is safe. You want to check in with your doctor. And of course, if you're sick, you can do higher amounts. And the quality of the vitamin C supplement that you get it does matter. So you have to get a good quality. The other food or key nutrient that we talk about a lot is vitamin D. So we do get it from sunlight. What I oftentimes find is that people are having a difficult time converting to active vitamin D. So some of the risk factors for having a decreased amounts of vitamin D is morbid obesity can reduce active vitamin D conversion. High fructose corn syrup has been known to deactivate active vitamin D. Diabetes is another medical condition that can tend to lower vitamin D. And there are some medications that also reduce our nutrients. So you want to check with your doctor in regards to what the medications that you're on that could be lowering vitamins like vitamin D and B12 and folate. But vitamin D you can get from sunlight. Mushrooms have it. Some foods are fortified with vitamin D. And of course, we can supplement with it. And I do find myself having to supplement patients quite a bit, even if they think they are getting enough sun exposure. For some reason, even if people are in the sun, vitamin D levels are still low. So depending on what lab values come back, that's how we determine how much vitamin D to supplement daily. Safe, you could do, 2,000 units a day. That's fine. But you really want to get tested for your vitamin D levels and then dose accordingly to that. Super important vitamin. It's not just part of your immune system. It helps us with our mental health. So if it's really low, you can feel depressed. You can have low energy. And, of course, immune system, it'll be affected. We also know that vitamin D is huge in protecting us from cancer. So we want to make sure that we're at optimal levels, and optimal is between 60 to 90 units on a blood test. The other vitamin that doesn't usually get a lot of spotlight is vitamin A. And I don't know if vitamin A is sold over the counter, because it does have a high risk for toxicity. So if you're dosing high amounts of vitamin A, it can cause liver issues. Also, people with liver issues should be very cautious with the amount of vitamin A they consume. So maybe just the foods that you're eating is sufficient. If you're pregnant, you do not want to supplement high amounts of vitamin A, because it is toxic to the baby. But vitamin A is great to help your immune system, and many, many other factors. Our eyes, it's protective of our vision, skin health, and just so much more. The other nutrient is zinc, which you can find in pumpkin seeds, chickpeas, lentils, whole grains. And of course, you can supplement with vitamin C. I will say, if you're going to supplement with vitamin C, whether it's 30 to 50 milligram tablets or capsules, you want to make sure you're having it with food, because it is harsh, can be harsh on the stomach. It can make you nauseous if you take high amounts. And, while someone is sick, the safe dose, the therapeutic dosing of zinc, it could be safe in most people, not all people, up to 150 milligrams a day, but in divided doses of that. So whether you have COVID or a flu, the higher amounts are safe to take only while you're sick. Then you want to lower it back down. 30 to 50 milligrams a day is usually safe through diet or supplementation. You also want to take a good probiotic. When I said the good health, right, that the gut health is really important. So, there's things like yogurt and sauerkraut, garlic, onions, bananas can even help, promote healthy probiotic in our digestive system. But you can find a good probiotic to take while, cold and flu season. And of course, hydration, the number one thing that I think a lot of people overlook. What's interesting is after the summer, a lot of people will naturally want to drink less water, because they're not, the heat is not there. So we're not as thirsty. And so what happens is that people during the winter months will decrease their amount of water intake naturally. So you have to be very mindful to make sure that you're hydrating with water. Don't do a lot of teas and all. I mean, you can, but you still need to drink water. I've had people who say, oh, I drink tea all day, Well, that's good, but you want water. The kidneys love water. Our organs love water. It's the way they get cleansed. And so we need to make sure we're hydrating with enough water. You can have some herbal teas here and there. That's fine. So just some nutritional tips. Eat the rainbow. There's a lot of phytonutrients, which phytonutrients are what protects the plants from their environment from being damaged, right? And when we eat these plants, they protect ourselves. So you want to eat foods that have color. Those phytonutrients help our immune system. It protects our cells. You want to reduce the amount of sugar intake. I know the holiday season, everybody wants to eat sugary things and drink sugary things. But these sugary foods and ultra-processed foods is only going to increase inflammation, which is going to further suppress your immune system, which is why people get more sick during the winter months, is because they are suppressing their immune system with not drinking enough water. They're not getting enough sunlight because it's colder outside. And then the foods that they're eating around the holidays is just it's not what your body wants and needs. You want to avoid the overuse of alcohol and caffeine. These can deplete your nutrients. So in moderation is okay, but, don't drink a pot of coffee. It will affect your immune system. So these are just some foods, just let me remind you that food isn't just fuel. It's information to your cells. It's providing the building blocks for your body to process and do its job. So the next thing I want to talk about, which is a pretty lengthy category, it's our lifestyle strategies to help our immune system. I know that oftentimes when I talk about how to strengthen, right, how to build up your immune system, People right now are looking for what pill, what supplement, what herb, what do I take, and that's it. And I hate to be the one to burst your bubble, but you taking tons of vitamin C and vitamin D is not going to be enough to overall, in the long term, help your immune system. Because it's not just about you fighting a cold and a flu here and there. It's also about protecting your body from autoimmune conditions and from cancer. Remember, your immune system is working 24/7, and we need to be able to help our body do its job. And so some of those lifestyle strategies, these are the things that I oftentimes find that my patients struggle with. And I have to consistently be the one to emphasize, get them inspired and motivated, and getting them to understand why these factors are important is not just about taking the vitamins and the herbs. You got to do these things to help your immune system. It's not just to get you through cold and flu season. We got to look long term of building your immune system. So when I tell you that sleep is one of the most important things that you could do for yourself to help your body to reset itself, to recover, to heal, to regenerate. Every cell is regenerating when we're asleep. There is absolutely nothing. Listen, I know there's a lot of podcasts and I see a lot of commentaries on you could take, creatine if you didn't sleep the night before. And they're using ludicrous amounts of high amounts of creatine. And this is sending the wrong message. This is sending the message that if I did not sleep last night, the amount of hours I need to, and I need to function today, let me just take 20,000 milligrams of creatine today so that I can operate and do my job. I get it that from time to time, we will have nights that we either can't sleep, right? We are maybe experiencing a little bit of insomnia, or we had a busy night because there's some deadlines that we had to meet. And so we had to, stay up a little bit later. I get that those things happen. But what I'm seeing is that there's this chronic loss of sleep that's going on. And oftentimes it is our choices that we're making. We're choosing to stay up on our technology or watching something, and that's taken away from the time that our body should be resting and recovering. So when it comes to sleep, we want to aim between 7 and 9 hours of good quality sleep. So if you're not sleeping for whatever reason, you need to address this. We need to find out why. And sometimes hormone imbalances can contribute to lack of sleep. Neurotransmitter imbalances can contribute to lack of sleep. Not able to fall asleep quick enough, not able to stay asleep quick enough. There's some other underlying health issues that need to be addressed so that you can get that quality sleep. There is absolutely nothing that will replace what sleep does at night. So sleep regulates cytokines, and it's going to regulate immune cell function. And so people who are well rested, they tend to recover. They tend to one of two things. They tend to not get as sick as often. And if they do get sick, their recovery time is faster. So during COVID, I saw this a lot where people were so stressed they weren't sleeping. I would tell them, have you been sleeping? And they're like, no, I can't sleep. And I'm doing this and doing that. Get to sleep. Take these herbs, get to sleep, fall asleep so that your immune system has time to help you heal. And once they got to sleeping, they got over COVID or flu a lot faster. The second lifestyle change that I highly recommend, and it is difficult for all of us, is stress reduction, right? We live in a world there's a lot of stress. And I think we need to learn how to reduce the stress by cutting out the noise in our life. Start with social media. Start with the outside influences of our world. There are some things we do not have any control of, but we do have control of one thing, and that is turning off the TV, shutting off your phone, putting the laptop computer away, and silencing that noise from the outside world, because that can easily create stress in us and can raise our cortisol levels, right? And then it becomes a chronic stress response that you have. It can suppress our immune system. Cortisol is inflammatory, so if we release a lot of cortisol because we're stressed, that cortisol causes inflammation. And that inflammation will suppress our immune system because it's constantly overworking our immune system. So just be mindful of what you're listening to. Be mindful of what you're watching. And if it's stirring up stress or if it's taking your peace away, it's time to shut it down. Just put it away. Journaling can be a good way to get your thoughts, your emotions out of your system. Doing some breathing exercises. We had a whole episode on breathing techniques and breath work. Maybe do some breathing exercises and spend some time in nature. We know that being in nature calms us down. The sounds of nature, just being outdoors can help us calm down. And if the stress is so bad, find a counselor, find a good friend, find an outlet for you to address the stress in your life. And if you sleep well, it's going to regulate your nervous system better. So it's going to help the stress. And if you reduce the stress, it's going to help your sleep as well. Look, I did the 4 pillars of health early on in the podcast. You can go back to episodes, I think 2, 3, and 4, and listen to sleep, stress, the diet, and exercise episodes, because those go into a lot more detail. I'm just bringing those concepts into this component of addressing, how to strengthen your immune system. So sleep, reduce stress. And the third one is movement. So get moving. Every time we exercise, we are also exercising our immune system. And in the exercise episode, we talk about that, where when we are working out our muscles, our muscles are breaking down and they need to be repaired. And guess who shows up to the scene to repair those broken, torn up muscles? The immune system. And so the immune system goes there to repair the tissue, and that constant working of your immune system is going to help it stay on point. Now, there's a lot of benefits to movement, right? Your blood is moving, your lymphatic system is moving, and you want to stay you want to follow up this episode, because the next episode we're going to talk about the lymphatic system. But the lymphatic system and blood are moving and circulating much more efficiently. So it's going to eliminate toxins out of your body. It's eliminating the waste faster, and it's bringing oxygen, right? When we move and constantly moving, our breathing is bringing in more oxygen into our body. And so this is oxygenating the tissue in your body, and it's improving your immune system. So you want to make sure that you're doing a variation of walking or jogging, stretching, some weightlifting, hiking, dancing, whatever the activity is. The point is for you to move your body consistently for 30 minutes. Now, overtraining can weaken the immune system. So if you're overtraining and not allowing your body to recover, it can weaken your immune system, right? Especially if your diet is not right, if you're not eating enough to match what your physical activity is, it is going to put a burden on your immune system. So be careful with that. And the fourth point is exposing ourselves, going out in nature, right? Spending some time in nature. If you have access to, a mountain, the forest, go out and do that. But if not, even a walk at the park, barefoot walking, believe it or not, putting our bare feet on dirt, on grass, can help our nervous system reduce inflammation. It can help our immune system as well. There's a lot of studies, and there's one study in particular where they studied children who grew up in farms, around farm, agricultural farm community, and their immune system they're healthier, they're exposed to a lot of things there, and the children were less likely to develop like allergies and asthma and get sick, where people in the city who don't get exposure to nature tend to have higher risk of, eczema, allergies, and asthma, and so forth. The fifth component of our lifestyle strategies on how to strengthen your immune system: do your body a favor and stop exposing it to toxins. Look, we live in a very toxic world, chemically and socially, but the toxins, the environmental toxins, these chemicals, do put a burden on our immune system. So we cannot possibly eliminate every toxin in the world, right? But we can do our best. Do the best you can without overstressing yourself and going crazy like sometimes we can. Overthink things and we think, how is it possible for me to eliminate every toxin in the world? Guess what? God designed our body in such a way that our bodies can adapt to our environments, the toxins and so forth, to a certain degree. Past a certain point, it becomes a burden on our body and it cannot do its job. So I tell people, do your part. Some of the environmental chemicals that you can be mindful are, what are the household chemicals that are you using in your home? What are you using to wash your dishes, to wash your clothes? Fabric softeners, get rid of them. They're super toxic. There's, what are you using to clean your floors and your bathtub and so forth? What are the cleaning products you're using? Those can have a huge toxic burden on our immune system and develop cancers and endocrine disruptors that will affect our hormones and neurotransmitters and so forth, right? So you want to be mindful of the products that you're using to clean your home, your clothes, your outside. Are you spraying pesticides in your yard? Find another way to get rid of pests. What products are you using for yourself? Skincare products, hair products. What are you washing your hair with? What are you putting on your face? Women, we know that makeup has a lot of toxins in there. There's a lot of natural skin product lines now that eliminate most of them. Be mindful of what you're doing. And you guys know, if you've listened to my episodes, my number one thing that I just cannot stand is how much perfume and cologne and fragrances people wear on themselves. And this is a toxic burden on our bodies. It disrupts our hormones, it affects our nervous system, and it affects our immune system. It puts us at risk of developing cancer, of having, tumors that we shouldn't have in places we shouldn't have. And so you want to be mindful of replacing those fragrances with something that's more natural based. There's oils, there's combination of oils that you can use as a fragrance that you can put on your skin that are natural and that have zero toxins in there. So toxins can put a burden on your immune system. You want to be mindful of what you're putting on your skin and what you're washing your clothes with too. So those are the things, the lifestyle strategies that you can do to improve your immune system. The next part of what we can do naturally to help our immune system is to consider the following herbs that I'm going to talk about. Now, like I said, this is for educational purposes only. Dosing, how much you should take is going to vary from whether it's a child, it's an adult, what medical conditions they have, are they on any medications and so forth. But these are generally safe too. Elderberry, it's a berry, but it's a very important berry because it has an antiviral property and it's anti-inflammatory. Now, if you couple this with all the other things we discussed about, right? Making sure your diet is well, that you're hydrating, you're sleeping well, the stress reduction, you're moving your body, you're being in nature, and you're reducing your exposure to toxins, elderberry is a great thing to take. It's safe and it's sweet. So children like it and it's easy to give it to them. There's different forms to take. Obviously, there's some that are like syrups that you can take or tinctures. There's gummies and some are chewables. But there's many ways that elderberry could be, taken. Echinacea is the other herb that, has a huge ability to boost our white cell activity. So should you take echinacea all the time? No. You should take it when you're only sick. So some of these things are good for ongoing and some of them only when you're sick. Echinacea, I would take it, if there's a lot of people on a low dose, if a lot of people around me are sick. But I wouldn't take it unless I'm actually sick. That's just me. Astragalus root supports your immune system's resiliency, so that's something good to take. Mushrooms all sorts of mushrooms, reishi, shiitake, maitake, all of these are good for immune modulating. Whether you're eating them in your diet or you're supplementing them as a tea or as a tincture or in a capsule, they're good to just take ongoing for many reasons. So mushrooms are a good herb. That's food for you to take. We talked about vitamin D. I put it here again because vitamin D is just really important. And unfortunately, even in areas where there's a lot of sun, like in Phoenix, you'd be surprised how many people are low in vitamin D. All skin colors are low in vitamin D. But I always have to educate people who are darker skin, have to make sure they're supplementing because of the melanin in their skin. It protects them from the sun. So there's not as much synthesizing of vitamin D in darker skin people. So you want to make sure you're either getting it through your food or supplementing with it, especially in the winter months. And then there's herbs like adaptogens, ashwagandha, holy basil are good at reducing some of the stress-related immune suppression. So there's a lot of good things. There's so many herbs that help the immune system. There's even lemongrass. Lemongrass, it's a long leaf, and you can find it as a tea. And this is an herb that I actually encourage moms who are nursing, because when they drink lemon tea, the lemongrass tea, it's an antiviral and it's also a galactagogue, meaning it helps to produce breast milk. So when a pregnant woman, when a nursing mother drinks this tea, if their baby is sick, that's a good way to get the herb to the baby, especially if they're under 6 months. They can still benefit, the baby can still benefit from the antiviral properties of that. And since I mentioned breastfeeding and babies, I just want to give a disclosure. Children under the age of 6 months, you need to be very cautious about vitamins and herbs that you're using. You really want to work with someone who is properly trained and educated on how to dose herbs with children under the age of 6 months. And so vitamin D, 400 units in a baby is fine a day, but you do not want to go over 400 units. You do not want to give a 1-month-old herbs. Breast milk is their medicine. That is what's going to help their immune system. And so you want to be cautious with herbs there. In children, elderberry is great. Vitamin D is great. You give a probiotic so they can offset some of that. But children need to be sleeping as well. They need to be able to get moving as well. And that's going to help. There's so many herbs. I can have a whole episode on which herbs maybe another time. But so these are some of the ways that you can simply daily support your immune system. There is no magic pill. It is a combination of doing all these things. So, get hydrated, eat good food, reduce sugar intake, go out, get some sunlight, work on the stress. There's a lot of ashwagandha is great for managing adrenal function, so the stress response, right? Ashwagandha is a very gentle herb. You could take it at bedtime. It's the best time. For few people, it gives them energy. Then you want to take it in the daytime. But ashwagandha is one of those herbs that you will not see a fast response typically. It's more of a prolonged effect. So if you take it tonight, you're not going to feel a huge significance, but it's supporting your adrenals and many other processes over time. So I hope that you have taken some benefit from this episode on how to strengthen your immune system. Just remember, it's not just one herb or one supplement or a couple supplements you can take. It's a combination of all these things we've talked about that we need to incorporate into our lifestyle. So I hope this helped you. If you're interested in learning more specifically on how to improve your immune system, say you have chronic conditions and your immune system is just a little sluggish and you need more in-depth support, there's a lot of specialty testing that we can look at, inflammatory markers, autoimmune conditions, are there toxins that are bogging your immune system, that we can help you. You can reach my clinic at Raíces, ndmedcenter.com. And until next time, guys, I hope you've benefited from this information. And until next time, be blessed. Thank you for listening to Physician Heal Thyself, the podcast. If you like what you've heard, please like, share, and subscribe. Help this message reach more people who may need to hear it. Leave your comments. I want to know what you think. If you're interested in learning more about Raíces, visit our website at raicesndmedcenter.com. Until next time, be blessed.